We're gonna go to the part 2 of this discussion panel right now. We're now gonna cover NT play. Okay, we're not gonna spend so much time on NT play, so I'm gonna we'll have about 10 to 15 minutes. So we'll just blast through this one. No one here has play last, so it's gonna be not the worst thing. Okay. As a matter of fact, most people here have played pretty high. I think only Hannah and Jonathan have it in the demon state, and even you guys have your plays pretty good. All right. So NT play. So the general definition of play is expending energy for the tribe. All right. And it's also, because it's NT, it's solving problems with the tribe. So we're like puzzling things out together. You know, we like to solve problems together. And on the humorous side, we tend to like offensive, clever jokes, like humor. Like the more offensive it is, the more funny it is for us. I know a lot of time might get offended by that, but to us, it's, you know, the worse it is, the more offensive it is. Like, you know, Borat is like one of the biggest example of that. You know,
my type twin.
What's that? Yeah, your type twin. Yeah, exactly. The more worse it is, the better it is for us. So let's start with that. So Jonathan, you already got the floor. So talk about NT play. So you have it in a demon state. How do you solve problems with the tribe, expend energy for the tribe, and your type of humor that you enjoy?
Yeah, so it is a demon, but it's still a hobby animal, right? So it's something that I really enjoy to do. I don't do it a lot because it is very draining. But one good example is at work, actually. So I work I work in IT, I work in IT support. I am always like solving problems for people, right? People come to me when they have a problem, and not just an issue, but they also want me to think creatively as well. Like, how can we solve this thing, or how can we create something? And I really enjoy that, because like I'm constantly looking at like systems that we use, and I'm looking at ways to how they can connect together. So whether that's through some kind of automation, or it's through programming or scripting. Yeah, it's something that I really enjoy. It's troubleshooting. I also really, really love whiteboards. Like, I have this weird obsession with like whiteboards. I like to just like draw things out and like figure out how things are connected and just kind of see it. And it really helps me like in the troubleshooting process. One problem I also have as well is every time someone asks me about NT play, I'm always like, I don't know how to answer it. Like, I always need some kind of context. And my theory is because like it's the play is double feminine, the N is feminine and the T is feminine. And I just always forget. Like, I'm always forgetting the reasons, and I'm always like forgetting the connections. But yeah, I guess one example that I can use is what you said with the whole offending people thing, is that I am a little bit of a social influencer, and the whole genre of my content is making fun of people in the Netherlands. And I've managed to accrue 25,000 people on TikTok and 12,000 people on Instagram just from making jokes. So there's a perfect example for you.
Yeah, man, you're killing that TikTok game, man. You are just destroying, and you're mocking the Dutch people too, which is even better. So yeah. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, I come to their country as a foreigner and I start making fun of them. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty offensive, but they're cool. Like, Dutchies are awesome. So
they loved it. Clearly love it, because you have so many followers. Like, you know, we love this Aussie guy who comes here and like mocks all of us. You know, like. All right, so let's go with Heather next. So Heather, how do you use NT play?
Yeah, I mean, to kind of piggyback off what Jonathan said, I just absolutely love anytime management comes to me and says, hey, can you go figure this out? Can you go fix this? Especially systems. And when I have to, you know, one particular role I had where I had to create the entire system for the state of Texas. And I loved it because it's like I could kind of see around the corners and kind of play through it and just problem solve as I went along. And so, you know, I definitely enjoyed that. I get a little more stressed out if it's like with people, like in front of me with people, because that N is feminine and it is demon. And so I'm like half excited and half drained all at the same time. And so I just get nervous that, you know, as long as there's a purpose to us having a conversation, it's like, okay, then we can sit here and problem solve. But a lot of times what stresses me out when people jump right in the middle, I probably should think, okay, then we have SE, where they just kind of jump right in the middle of something. But that stresses me out because I'm like, I need the context for that. Can we roll back? Can we zoom out so I can understand every single piece that's in play here? And so it takes me a little bit longer if they're asking me to help navigate with them. I can certainly do that. And then you just kind of help them see this is probably where it went off the rails. Did you look at this? Did you think about this? Did you think about that? So it's half fun and half draining for me.
That's an interesting perspective because you have savior play, but you're also a decider. So there is like that, that the people think can be.
Is that a weirder game? You can say it.
yeah. So it gets a little bit, more nervous, like, I guess, for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, but because for me, like when Jonathan was talking about the whiteboard stuff, I was like, oh man, that is like the shit. Like I love that whiteboard shit. Like let's take a whiteboard and like let's create some shit with this,
Yes.
And let's do it with people too, because I'm like there's no fear with people. So it's good to see it from your perspective where it's fun, but there's some nerves underneath it, which is
it's like if we're in a team group and I've spent enough time with my team where we're all comfortable with each other and we're fine just tossing out ideas and I know nobody's going to get offended, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Then I could do that all day. But if it's something where I'm a little bit nervous and there's going to be some whatever, I'm constantly watching that and thinking through that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So it's more like new people that creates that. If it's like the same old people, it's fine because it's already like in your OI, I guess.
Yeah, it's in my box. I know you. As far as humor goes, I actually get a little bit stressed out with stuff that's super offensive. Like I kind of laugh at it, but then I wonder, oh my gosh, people are getting offended, or so EJ. But I like humor that's super clever. Like if I hadn't heard that before and they just come at it in a really clever way, I'm like, yes, because I can sit there. I don't laugh easily. It really takes a very clever person for me to really laugh at it. If it's not super clever, then I'm like, I didn't think it was that funny. Yeah, so it's more clever humor, I think I get.
All right, thanks, Heather. Later on, when we go transition to the next topic of animals, we're gonna go spin back to this because you're blast player. You're the crackhead one here in this group, so this is gonna be perfect for later on. So let's go with Natasha. So Natasha, how do you use NT play yourself?
So several points that I have. First one, just like it has been mentioned, coming up with ideas on the spot, generating ideas on the spot. Like I will have the instinct of I want to fix everything. So there is always a solution, no matter the problem. And I'll use NE to be like, okay, how about this? How about this? How about this? And masculine TE, so I will try to fix it, even if I have to smash the solution on you. And another thing I noticed, so like Heather mentioned the NE demon, I have the TE demon. So even though it's plays a savior, I still have a demon, which is the interesting part, particularly with debates and discussions. I will kind of project what other people's views on issues are. So I'll be like, okay, these people think this way, these people think this way, these people think this way. And I'll be controlling what I say based on how I think they will perceive me if I say certain things because of that weirdness with the decider thing. And because I will project like, if I say this, they will hate me. So like kind of thing, I'll be like, okay, I should not touch on these topics. I should not touch on these topics. So always conscious of that. Another thing, fast learners, like because of NT-Play, I'll be like, okay, new software, let's try this new tool. How about this tool? Okay, what does this do? Let's like connect all this together. This applies with languages, software, basically anything. Cooking, like I'll just try things out and see what works and come up with stuff. And in terms of humor, I like offensive humor and clever humor because like I have that FI self-amusing thing. So if it's funny to me, I will laugh, but I will be still conscious of what might be offensive to the tribe. And if someone finds offensive humor cool, they're probably going to be in my FI much more easily because then I will not feel the need to censor myself.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. Next up, we go to Henna.
Yeah, I think I use it a lot at work. So I work at the university, not for very long anymore, but I'm writing my master's thesis and it's also part of a project. And then we're trying to publish it and whatnot and have to do some consuming. So that's bad. And because of the consume, I try to kind of play up front to avoid taking detours and consume. So I'll be like, I'm gonna bother my colleagues in a very feminine way to be like, okay, so what's your way of researching? What steps do you take? At which point do you start writing and all of that? And also if it's conceptual, so luckily I have some colleagues who look at some similar theories as I do. So I'm trying to cover my blind spots in consume with the NT-play. What I can also relate to is I like learning new softwares. And what else? Yeah, offensive humor. I'm actually really bad at this because, as you might notice when you're watching this, I laugh a lot. It's very easy for me to laugh, and because I don't have the N, I offend people all the time, I think, and I'm not conscious. And then later, like 2 hours later, I'm like, shit, maybe that was too much. Yeah, it's really bad. I don't know what to do about it. That's where the demon consume smacks me in the face. Okay.
Yeah, I love your statement earlier when you said, "Oh, and then I have to consume." That's bad. You know, like it's that I love it. So funny. Next up is Cynthia. So talk about how you personally use anti-play. This you're going to be the queen of this. Your play first. So how do you experience this?
Yeah. Double activated consume, but I have play first. That's true.
And double feminine, I think. Yeah, double feminine.
Double
right?
feminine, yeah.
Go ahead.
So I relate a lot to what Jonathan said. It's like, how do you even explain something that you do all day, every day? It's just like breathing. How do you breathe? How do you, anyway. So I think I use it at work a lot all day, and I am in a management position, and it's the dream for any play, Savior NT, because all I get to do all day, every day is strategize and think about possible solutions for the team and how to reorganize the team and the structures and the processes. But I never have to do them. I never have to do sensory. I just conceptualize. It's great. Highly recommended. Because I always, it's just thinking about possible solutions, and I related a lot to what Natasha said. There's always a solution, because I think what I do, what you do, I don't know, but probably all of us do, is when there's a problem, I usually go on a meta level and I think, okay, what is needed in general to solve that problem? So say, for example, I need a tool to get a job done, and I don't have that tool. Then I would probably think about, okay, what does this tool do on a conceptual level? And obviously I might need a hammer now, but a hammer, all a hammer does is hammer the nail down. So I could also use something else that gets the job done. So I usually would do, how I find solutions to problems is I would go on a meta level and think, okay, what is the general concept of the solution that we need? And then you figure out which of the possible SI things could get the job done. So that's, I think that's what my NT play does. And with the humor, I related a lot to clever humor and offensive humor as well. I think the offensive humor, as a double decider, I'm not afraid of offending people or getting offended, because I trust that people will get that it's a joke. So it's not personal, because you think, well, we're joking. It's, how could you be offended? Because it's a joke, right? I trust you that you know that I wouldn't make fun of you. I trust you that you know I'm joking. So that, I think that's the double deciding bit. And with the clever jokes, what I like is for example, word plays, where you have to think around 3 corners in order to get it. So probably the NE, right? You have to do 7 connections in order to get it. And if you get these connections, only if you get these connections, it's funny. And if I make a joke and you get it, I can be sure that you have NE too, or that you understand me, because you wouldn't get the joke if you didn't make the 7 connections beforehand. So that's, it's kind of a little.
And then some people don't get it, and you have to explain it, and then.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and I've never thought about this before. And I knew OP, but I think that's why you feel connected, because you think, your brain works the same as mine.
Yeah, I think that's the cool part, is like we're all speaking the same language here. So regardless of how we say something, someone's gonna get it. And I think that's the beauty of it. One last thing to chime in before we move on to the next topic is I also noticed that people with NT play tend to be the best people for hiring or recruiting, because you're solving the tribe problem, right? Like you know which piece fits in the puzzle, and that piece is the human, essentially. Does anyone have any thoughts on this before we move on to the next topic? Anyone want to chime in on that, like from your own personal experience?
I think it relates to what I said before. Because the recruiting process is the same. You go on a meta level and you think, okay, what knowledge is needed for this job, and then you try to find the SI, which is a person, to fill in that blank, right?
Yeah, possibly. I'm not sure. Just mull over that.
It's possible. It's entirely possible. Anything's possible.
It's entirely possible.
Any possible. Yeah. Okay, guys. So that is it for NT play, and now we're gonna move on to the next one.